Chapter 9.2 introduces us to natural selection and adaptations. Some changes in genetic traits have occurred over several generations through natural selection, such as the long necks in giraffes or the finch's beaks that Darwin discovered on the Galapagos Islands. Other changes in genetic traits have been caused by humans. People have selectively bred for traits that are desired in domestic animals and pets. So we're talking about things like whenever we're breeding cows for the meat so that they can make more money from the production of more meat, or it might be through breeding dogs that have characteristics of a certain breed that we like in them. For example, we want a German Shepherd to have a really strong bark and very pointed ears and a long snout so that it can smell very well. Look at the two sets of plants here. We have sunflowers on the left that are wild, and they have the long, skinny stems, and they're going to be blowing in the wind. They're not as appealing as the ones who have been domesticated. That means that they have been bred by scientists and by breeders who are looking for that big, beautiful sunflower with a thick stem that's going to hold it upright. Same for the strawberries. The one on the left, they are smaller, not as much to eat. So whenever the farmers would be using this kind, they're the wild ones. They are not going to fill up a basket as much. They're not going to get as much money for them, and they're probably not going to last as long in the grocery store. Whereas the ones on this side, they have been domesticated, selectively bred. We call this selective breeding, and they are going to have the big strawberries. They're probably going to last 2 weeks in the grocery store and give the farmers time to get them to the market. Natural selection is when organisms with traits that are best suited for their environment, they survive longer, therefore they can reproduce. They reach maturity so they can reproduce. So natural selection occurs in nature, and basically the one that's best adapted is the one that's going to survive and reproduce the most offspring. Adaptations are inherited traits that increase an organism's chance of surviving and reproducing in a particular environment. One of the rules that Charles Darwin came up with whenever he was discussing natural selection was that most animals and plants produce more offspring than are needed to keep the species alive. So if one plant can produce thousands of seeds, but really that many are not going to survive, maybe only 5 or 10 plants are produced out of that, it's overproducing, so it's going to carry on the species. Maybe a rabbit or a mouse, because they have lots of predators, they produce 10 or 12 young every 6 weeks. So they are producing a lot more than are actually going to survive, because a lot of them are going to be eaten. So that was one of his thinkings, that how things are surviving. Animals have adaptations that allow them to find food because they're competing against all the other animals that are eating the same food. So think of adaptations that would help one animal or one plant be able to reach sunlight at where another one might not. Maybe wide leaves, or maybe it's a long tongue that allows it to reach out and catch a fly. Predation means it's able to avoid predators. So do some animals have ways of avoiding predators? Think of the hedgehog in my classroom. Or think of plants that are poisonous. They are avoiding predation, predators eating them. Variations could be simply as one zebra has more stripes than another zebra. It's able to blend more and to confuse the predators. Variation could be camouflage of a moth on a tree. It's got variations. The one that's got more variation is going to probably survive and not be seen by birds and other predators. So things that have variations, the more variations it has, usually it's going to be able to survive more. Selection is just simply the animal or the plant that was easiest to see or to find. They are usually eaten before they reach reproductive age. So that means that a plant that's young and tender and it was eaten by a zebra may not make it to have flowers or to produce seeds so that it can have offspring. So selection is, if it's easily seen, it is going to be eaten more quickly.